All right, so everyone get ready, because today we are diving headfirst into Nigerian politics.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh, it is. It always is,
Yeah.
but especially right now, because everyone's looking ahead to 2027, figuring out what's next.
Yeah, trying to see how the pieces are going to fall into place for the next election.
Exactly. And we found this really interesting article from Restore Nigeria News. They're making a pretty big prediction about what's not going to happen.
Uh-oh. Those are always dangerous. So what's the big no way this time?
They say that we can basically forget about Buhari loyalists challenging Tinubu.
Wow, they just wrote them off like that, huh?
Pretty much. And they actually back it up with a bunch of arguments connecting it all to Buhari's time as president.
Interesting. So it's not just like a random hot take. They're saying his presidency actually damaged his chances.
Exactly. Like, they don't hold back at all. They say his time in office really hurt him politically.
I mean, can you blame them? 2 accessions and 1 presidency? That's got to leave a mark.
Yeah, seriously. And the article brings up how bad inflation got and the currency troubles. It wasn't exactly a great time economically for a lot of people.
Not at all. And remember, all that economic stuff, it's not just numbers on a page, right?
Yeah.
It has huge consequences for real people.
Yeah, for sure. And the article talks about that too, like how the insecurity in the north just got worse and worse under Buhari. Banditry, kidnappings,
It's
terrorism.
devastating. All those things leading to mass displacement, people losing their homes, their livelihoods completely shattered.
A really grim picture, no doubt. But okay, so how does the article connect that back to Buhari's chances against Tinubu?
Basically, they're saying these failures, both the economy and the security issues, they really eroded people's trust in Buhari's leadership.
Makes sense. Hard to get people excited about your comeback when they think you messed things up the first time.
Exactly. And the article goes even further. They bring up this whole thing about Dr. Umar Ardo.
Oh yeah, that part really caught my eye. They're saying Buhari basically betrayed the very person who helped him win in 2015.
That's some serious political drama right there.
It is. So for those who might not know, who is Dr. Ardo and why is this a big deal?
Well, he was essential in getting the APC, the ruling party, off the ground in the first place. It was his strategy that got Buhari on the ballot.
So not just some random guy, he was a major player in Buhari's rise to power.
Exactly. And yet the article claims that once Buhari was in office, he basically pushed Dr. Ardo out, completely sidelined him.
Wow. So if that's true, this betrayal, it really says a lot about the loyalty and political strategy going on in Buhari's camp.
For sure. I mean, it makes you think if someone like Dr. Ardo, who was so crucial to Buhari's success, couldn't secure a place at the table afterwards. What does that say to other potential allies?
Not a good sign, probably. Like maybe Buhari's not the best at keeping his promises or building strong alliances.
That's the article's point, and they say it goes even deeper than that. This next part really surprised me. They claim that a lot of the people advising Buhari now are the same ones who couldn't get him elected back in 2003, 2007, and 2011.
Wait, what? So the team that's supposedly guiding him now has a track record of losing.
That's what the article says. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does a group go from constant losses to suddenly being the masterminds behind a presidential win?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense on the surface. I'm definitely curious to hear how the article explains this.
Me too. Seems like a contradiction.
Definitely. All right, well, we are going to dive into that right after the break, so stay with us.
So the article's argument is that Buhari's 2015 win, it wasn't really about his team being geniuses or anything. It was more about being in the right place at the right time.
Oh, so they're saying it was more luck than skill.
Kind of. They point to how the APC got formed, bringing all those different groups together, and how people were just fed up with the old ruling party.
So the ingredients were already there, and Buhari just happened to be the one holding the spoon.
Yeah, basically. And the article says that raises a big question for anyone thinking Buhari's allies could take down Tinubu. Like, if they weren't really the key to his success in 2015, why would they be able to make him lose in 2027?
Especially when you think about who Tinubu is.
Yeah.
This guy is a political heavyweight. The article calls him a master strategist, someone who's basically running the show within the APC, appointments, financing, the whole 9 yards.
Right, and don't forget, the APC just came out and gave Tinubu a vote of confidence. That's a pretty big deal.
It is. I mean, that's like the party saying, we're with him. It's going to be really tough for anyone to challenge him from the inside after that.
Definitely. But then the article throws in this whole other twist. They're saying that northern elites might be shifting their allegiances.
Okay, now that is interesting. So it's not just about Buhari, but even the bigger power players in the north might be looking for a change.
That's what the article suggests. And that could completely reshape the whole political scene. But why would they turn away from both Buhari and Tinubu, though? What's going on there?
Yeah, good question. They were both seen as pretty strong figures in the North, right?
They were, but the article says there's a growing disillusionment with Buhari's performance, especially when it comes to the economy and the ongoing security problems in the North. They feel like he hasn't really delivered on their needs.
So they're not seeing him as the answer anymore. And they're not convinced Tinubu is either.
It seems that way. They might be searching for a new leader, someone who can actually address their concerns and get things done, someone who represents their interests better.
This has huge implications for 2027. If the northern elites, with all their power and resources, are looking for a new direction, that could change everything.
Absolutely. It adds a whole new layer of complexity to Nigerian politics, which was already pretty complex to begin with.
No kidding. The article doesn't say who this new force might be, but it definitely implies that the old alliances are breaking down and new players are getting ready to step in.
Right. And it makes you wonder, who are these new contenders? What do they stand for? What kind of alliances are they building behind the scenes?
Big questions. And they matter a lot, especially for people who are actively involved in Nigerian politics and trying to figure out what to do next.
Definitely. The political landscape is shifting, and the old assumptions about who has the power, they might not be true anymore.
It sounds like we're going from a two-person race to something way more chaotic and unpredictable, like a whole bunch of new horses just entered the race.
That's a great analogy. The article is basically saying that we're seeing a major realignment in Nigerian politics, and it's going to be fascinating to watch how it all plays out.
Totally agree. But before we get lost in all the speculation about the future, let's come back to Buhari for a minute. The article's pretty straight up about what they think of his political skills, or lack thereof.
Yeah, they don't sugarcoat it. They say he's never really been known for being a brilliant strategist or coming up with innovative political ideas.
So not exactly the image of a political mastermind.
Nope. And they say a lot of his key allies from 2015 have moved on, which makes it even harder for him to make a serious run in 2027.
So less support, less political savvy, and less influence overall.
Basically. But they're saying that the idea of him putting together a strong challenge against Tinubu, it's just not very likely.
Okay, so let's recap. We have a weakened Buhari, a very powerful Tinubu, and a group of northern elites who might be ready to back someone completely new. What does this mean for our listeners, especially those who are trying to figure out how to navigate this new political landscape, build alliances, create coalitions, and actually challenge the people in power?
Yeah, it really feels like things are changing in a big way. Like we're at this crossroads where the old ways of doing things aren't working anymore, but the new way isn't quite clear yet. So what advice would you give to our listeners who are out there trying to make a difference? Ones trying to build those new alliances and coalitions to shake things up a bit? Well, I think even though this article doesn't give us all the answers, it definitely points us in the right direction. Like one of the biggest takeaways for me is that you got to be paying attention to how power is shifting. We can't just assume the same people will always be calling the shots.
Right. What worked before might not work now.
Exactly. The landscape is changing, and the people who can adapt, those are the ones who are going to be successful. I mean, think about what the article said about Buhari losing influence and those northern elites maybe looking for someone new. It shows that there's space for new leaders to emerge, new ideas to take hold.
It's like an opportunity is opening up.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to just see the opportunity, right? You got to be able to actually do something with it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's where the article's critique of Buhari's leadership comes in. Remember how they talked about him pushing aside important allies? That's a lesson right there. If you want to build a lasting coalition, you got to focus on building trust, on making real partnerships.
So it's about more than just grabbing power. It's about doing it the right way. Because if you repeat the same mistakes, you're just going to end up in the same mess.
Totally. And that leads to another really important point from the article.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the people. We've talked about all these economic problems and security issues, especially in the North. Whoever wants to change things has to have real solutions for those problems.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that politics should be about helping people, not just playing games to get ahead.
Absolutely. So for anyone building coalitions, it's crucial to actually listen to what people are saying, what they need, figure out what different communities are struggling with, and come up with policies that actually make a difference.
So if we're trying to boil it down to the essentials for our listeners who are out there fighting for a better Nigeria, what's the main message? What should they be focusing on?
Well, based on what we've talked about today, I'd say the three key things are Be adaptable, be strategic in your alliances, and be truly committed to serving the people. Those are the ingredients for real, lasting change.
That's a great summary. And it sounds like a pretty tall order, but I think it's also inspiring. It shows that even though things are tough right now, there's still hope for a better future.
Definitely. This article shows that Nigerian politics are at this turning point, and the decisions people make now will have a huge impact down the road.
It's been a really thought-provoking deep dive, and I think we've all learned a lot. And to our listeners, especially those of you who are working hard to build a new Nigeria, keep pushing forward. Keep asking tough questions. Don't just accept the way things are, and stay informed. The future of your country is literally being shaped right now, and your voices and your actions have power.
The road ahead might not be easy, but like we saw in the article, there's so much potential for positive change. So stay engaged, keep learning, and don't give up hope.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time. And until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep striving for a brighter future for Nigeria.